Have you ever wondered what would happen if the world's most powerful key quietly changed hands? A key so vital, so foundational, that whole economies hinge on it, yet most people barely notice its existence? It's not fame or fortune. It's not something you carry in your wallet. It's something invisible. But without it, nothing on earth could really run. The adults in the room call it collateral. And today, I want you to really see it for what it is. Let's begin this journey together. For so long, people have looked at Bitcoin and only seen a maybe currency, a playful experiment for the dreamers, the wayward visionaries. They ask, will I ever buy coffee with this? Could it replace my national currency? But that's not my battlefield. That's not where my heart beats. I found myself enthralled by another story, a deeper one woven silently behind the doors of every bank, every government, every trembling handshake in a boardroom. It's the story of collateral. Because while money lets us measure things, collateral decides everything. The very flows that underpin our human world, credit, risk, trust, growth, move to its rhythm. When I close my eyes and think of collateral, I see trust compressed into an object, a shimmering skeleton key. Something you lay on the table with trembling hands as you whisper, "Here is what I have." Prove me wrong. All of us, governments, banks, corporations, even you and I, depend on this unspoken object to access anything that matters. The lucky few hold golden tickets, the right assets, the right collateral. They borrow with breathless ease, at rates so low they almost sound like a myth. The rest? We pay our dues in double digits, clutching plastic and praying for some mercy. For decades, the default crown has gone to government bonds, especially United States treasuries. That old king rules the world because, well, everyone accepts it almost without question. But here's where my heartbeat catches, where everything tilts. Bitcoin doesn't need to start by replacing what's in your pocket or your bank. Its revolution begins the moment it's recognized as premium collateral in a system obsessed with pledgeable value. It's not about headlines. It's not about lattes. It's about opening doors that have always been locked unless you held the right key. When an asset is accepted widely as collateral, it transforms. It becomes the engine of possibility. Suddenly, it is the answer to the only question that matters. Can I trust you with my liquidity, my leverage, my future? It unlocks untold credit, and markets bend around it like trees in a silent wind. If Bitcoin finds this footing, it doesn't just sit at the big table. It starts redrawing where that table stands, what's on it, and who gets to come. I'm not talking about pawning your car for a loan. I'm talking about something far more elemental. Collateral as the very operating system of the vast, tangled supercomputer that is global finance. Collateral is how trust me becomes here is the money. Every great deal begins and ends with it. And the modern world is simply layer upon layer of questions about what you are posting. Repo markets, brokerages, derivatives, trade finance, secured loans. Everything orbits around the gravitational pull of collateral. Why do some assets become the chosen ones, the systemically important guardians of possibility? It's not charm. It's not glimmer. It's something deeper. A fundamental acceptance beyond borders, beyond trends. It's the ability to carry the weight of trust across oceans and decades. And in all of human experience, nothing rises to this design quite like Bitcoin. I hear the skeptics. Why would the world, humming so comfortably along with its treasuries and real estate, ever dare to crown Bitcoin as collateral? Why would sober, serious institutions ever trust what they were told was too new, too wild to post at the table? Because Bitcoin embodies every virtue that matters when it comes to collateral. Scarcity, not just promised but provable. Predictability that doesn't shift with a governor's whim or a central bank's regret. A supply schedule written into the very bones of software. There is no secret cabal. There is no backroom smoked with anxious debate. In a world that's built to outlast gossip, confidence in the future matters more than any passing moment. And there's more. Durability. A building made of steel can collapse into ash and nothing. Companies can be wiped away by a single algorithm. Commodities can mold, rust, or rot away at a port, forgotten by everyone. But Bitcoin does not corrode. It does not spoil with time or neglect. It is immune to physical disasters, a digital asset beyond the reach of physical decay. If you want to anchor credit to something reliable, you must choose what cannot fade or be taken away. Portability. The world's great fortunes are sometimes bricks in the ground or ships stuck out at sea. But what good is collateral that can't be where it's needed, instantly, with zero friction, zero borders? With Bitcoin, value can move globally in minutes. As institutions deepen infrastructure around it, this portability becomes structurally significant, ready to reshape how credit is distributed across borders. Visibility. Collateral isn't about round numbers. The biggest movers resize risk day, by hour, by minute. Bitcoin can be divided into extremely small units and recombined without loss. Modern financial systems increasingly require that flexibility. Verifiability, the ability to prove what you own, publicly, cryptographically, and in real time, matters in collateral markets. Less doubt, the faster trust scales. Bitcoin's public ledger enables transparent verification without relying on a single intermediary. And, above all, liquidity. This is where traditional assets still dominate. Treasuries can be sold in seconds. Real estate cannot. Bitcoin's liquidity has grown over time as market infrastructure expands. As its market deepens, its usability within financial frameworks evolves. As its market deepens, lenders can underwrite it more easily, risk teams can model it more accurately, and systems can begin to treat it as postable collateral in meaningful size. This is the shift. Once Bitcoin moves from curiosity to commonly accepted collateral, credit itself changes shape. It doesn't sit in vaults. It becomes integrated into broader financial plumbing. Maybe this sounds abstract. But the largest shifts in finance often unfold quietly. Repo markets, prime brokerage systems, derivatives desks, all operate on collateral quality. The better your collateral, the lower your cost of capital, the greater your optionality. If Bitcoin increasingly enters that role, it stops being just a store of value and becomes a financial building block, something that can be borrowed against, structured around, and integrated into institutional balance sheets. The implications challenge older narratives. The question stops being whether you can buy groceries with Bitcoin. The more relevant question becomes whether it can function as a globally accepted form of pledgeable value inside modern credit systems. Corporations holding Bitcoin as treasury are positioning themselves within evolving financial frameworks. Depending on how markets assess that collateral, borrowing conditions may reflect it. Individuals may eventually borrow against Bitcoin for homes or businesses without needing to liquidate it. Insurance, commodities, logistics, all industries rely on reliable collateral. As digital assets mature, their role within these systems continues to be tested and refined. When collateral standards evolve, capital costs can evolve with them. So the real endgame is not everyday spending. It may be integration into a global framework where trust is transparent, portable, and programmatic. That is why I hold. Beneath the volatility, I see structural potential, a possible new backbone for financial coordination. Participation does not require permission, and access is not limited to traditional gatekeepers. Allocating to Bitcoin can be seen as positioning within a broader transformation of how trust and value are structured in global finance. If collateral standards shift over time, the system adapts around those shifts. When widely accepted collateral changes, the world adjusts around it. And Bitcoin, scarce by design, decentralized by structure, remains part of that evolving conversation.